Friends, let's continue the discussion of American literature. Part 2. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was an American essayist, lecturer, and poet who led the transcendentalist movement of mid-19th century. His important works are Self-Reliance, American Scholar, Representative Man, Nature, and the poem Brahma. Here, Self-Reliance and American Scholar are individual essays, whereas Representative Man and Nature are essay collections. The poem Brahma, it was translated from Bhagavad Gita. The essay Nature is a groundbreaking work. It is in this essay that the foundation of transcendentalism is put forth, a belief system that espouses a non-traditional appreciation of nature. Transcendentalism suggests that divinity diffuses all nature and speaks to the notion that we can only understand reality through studying nature. The next important writer is Henry David Thoreau. His important works are Walden and Civil Disobedience. Walden is his masterpiece. It has the subtitle also, that is Life in the Woods. It is the result of 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days he spent living in a cabin he built at Walden Pond on property owned by Emerson. In Walden, Thoreau consciously saves this time into 1 year, and the book is carefully constructed so the seasons are subtly evoked in order. Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman is one of the greatest American poets. His important poems are Crossing Brooklyn Ferry, Out of the Cradle Endlessly Rocking, When Lilac Last in the Doriad Bloom, Democratic Vistas, and Song of Myself. Here, When Lilacs Last in the Doriad Bloomed is a moving elegy on the death of Abraham Lincoln. The poem Song of Myself, it is the most stunning original poem ever written by an American. The Brahmin poets Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, James Russell Lowell, Oliver Wendell Holmes, and others are called Brahmin poets. The writings of Brahmin poets fused American and European traditions and sought to create continuity of shared Atlantic experience. These scholar poets attempted to educate and elevate the general populace by introducing a European dimension to American literature. Ironically, their overall effect was conservative. By insisting on European things and forms, they retarded the growth of distinctive American consciousness. Their conservative backgrounds blinded them to the daring innovativeness of Thoreau, Whitman, and Edgar Allan Poe. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was one of the most important Boston Brahmin poets. He was professor of modern languages at Harvard. He was the best known American poet of his day. He was responsible for the misty, ahistorical, legendary sense of the past that merged American and European traditions. He wrote 3 long narrative poems popularizing native legends in European meters. They were Evangeline, The Song of Hiawatha, The Courtship of Miles Standish. Margaret Fuller, Margaret Fuller was an outstanding essayist. Her important books are Papers on Literature and Art, Woman in the 19th Century. Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson's famous poems are the first one, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, Death Stopped for Me. The second one, Success is Counted Sweetest by Those Who Never Succeed. The third one, A Fly Buzz Came to My Ear. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Nathaniel Hawthorne's important works are first one, The House of Seven Gables, The Scarlet Letter, The Blithedale Romance, The Marble Faun. Here, The Scarlet Letter is his masterpiece. It has become the classic portrayal of Puritan America. It tells of the passionate, forbidden love affair linking a sensitive, religious young man, the Reverend Arthur Dimmesdale, and the sensuous, beautiful townsperson Hester Prynne. Set in Boston around 1650, during early Puritan colonization, the novel highlights the Calvinistic obsession with morality, sexual impression, guilt and confession, and spiritual salvation. He has written some short stories also. His important short stories are The Minister's Black Veil, Young Goodman Brown, My Kinsman, Major Molyneux. Herman Melville. Herman Melville has written Moby Dick or The Whale. It is first published in 1851. It is considered to be one of the great American novels and a treasure of world literature. The story tells the adventures of wandering sailor Ishmael and his voyage on the whale ship Pequod, commanded by Captain Ahab. Moby Dick begins with the line, Call me Ishmael. This is one of the most recognizable opening lines in the Western literature. Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe is best known for his short stories and poems. His best known poem is The Raven. In this poem, the haunted, sleepless narrator, who has been reading and mourning the death of his last Lenora at midnight, is visited by a raven who perches above his door and ominously repeats the poem's famous refrain, Nevermore. The poem ends in a frozen scene of death in life. Harriet Beecher Stowe. Harriet Beecher Stowe's important work is Uncle Tom's Cabin or Life Among the Lowly. It reflected the slavery in United States. Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was the most famous Black American anti-slavery leader and orator. His important autobiographical works are Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, My Bondage, My Freedom, Life and Time of Frederick Douglass. Samuel Clemens. Samuel Clemens, better known by his pen name of Mark Twain. His important works are Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is his masterpiece, and it is also known as the Great American Novel. Ernest Hemingway said about this work as all of American literature comes from one great book, Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. In Huckleberry Finn, a poor boy, he decides to follow the voice of his conscience and help a Negro slave Escape to Freedom. Henry James. Henry James is considered as one of the greatest American novelists. His notable works are The American, Daisy Miller, The Portrait of a Lady, The Wings of the Dove, Ambassadors, The Golden Ball, and Washington Square. E.A. Robinson. E.A. Robinson is the best US poet of the late 19th century. He is known for short, ironic character studies of ordinary individuals. Some of the best known of Robinson's dramatic monologues are Luke Havergal, Miniver Cheevy, and Richard Cory. In Miniver Cheevy, he portrays a romantic dreamer. In Richard Cory, he portrays a wealthy man who commits suicide.